Everybody always asks us at the Boyle Industries, what's it like for enemies to work side by side with each other? And it's admittedly tense. Always initially, homies will come in, and just like in the gospel, not everybody who says, Lord, Lord, is going to get in, but not everybody who says, job is ready. But a homie will come in and say, I'm ready. I said, well, okay, I have an opening in the bakery, but you're going to have to work with X, Y, and Z. And I rattle off the names of enemies. And they always do exactly the same thing. It never varies. They think for a long time, and then they go, well, I'll work with them, but I'm not going to talk to them. Which used to bother me in the old days, and of course, until you discover that it is impossible for human beings to demonize people they know. You cannot do it. You cannot pull it off. Human beings can't sustain it. So this one day I had a little tiny homie named Youngster. Everybody called him Youngster. And I walk him into the silkscreen factory, which is our biggest, most successful business, about 2,500 customers. I walk him in to introduce him to his co-workers. And so I'm watching Youngster as he shakes hands and looks in the eyes of every single worker he's about to work with, including enemies, shakes their hand, looks them in the eye. I thought, good for you. Until we get around the bend to the very last co-worker who seems to be avoiding this encounter, a kid named Puppet. And when Puppet and Youngster are in each other's vicinity, they mumble something, they stare at their shoes, they don't shake hands. Well, I know they're enemies, but he just finished shaking hands with other enemies. But I discovered later that this is a hatred and so personal, the beef, that neither of them think they can get past it. So I sense that much at the moment, and I look at them, I go, hey, if you guys can't hang working together, just let me know. I got a ton of people who would love to have this job. And they say nothing. About 6 months later, a Puppet goes 3 blocks to a corner store to pick something up, and on his way home, he decides to take a shortcut, so he cuts through an alley, and because of this unexpected detour, he's suddenly surrounded by 10 members of an enemy gang, 10 against 1, and they beat him badly, but he falls to the ground, and they will not stop kicking his head until he's lifeless. Somebody finds him and takes him to White Memorial Hospital, where he's declared effectively brain dead. But it's the policy there to keep him connected to machines for 48 hours. So the doctors can get a flat read of 2 straight days, and then they sign the death certificate. This allowed family and friends to gather. I was at St. Louis University giving a talk. I flew home. I've seen a lot of horrible things in my life. Nothing to compare to the sight of this young man with his head swollen many times its size. It was horrifying. You could barely train your eyes on him. And so at the end of the 48-hour period, I blessed him. I gave him la unción de los enfermos. And at the end of the 48-hour period, we disconnected. And a week later, I buried him. But in the first 24 hours, I'm alone in my office. And it's 8:30 at night, and the phone rings. And it's Youngster, Puppet's co-worker from the silkscreen. Hey, he says, that's messed up about what happened to Puppet. I said, yeah, it is. And then with a certain kind of eagerness even, he says, is there anything I can do? Can I give him my blood? And we both fall silent under the weight of it. Until finally, he breaks the silence, choking back his tears, and he says with great deliberation, he was not my enemy. He was my friend. We worked together. Now, can I say that always happens? Yes. Any exceptions? I cannot think of one. And it shouldn't surprise us that God's own dream come true for us, that we be one. Just happens to be our own deepest longing for ourselves. Turns out it's mutual. And maybe there are some things you can't reach, but you can sure reach out to them. And all day long. For the vision still has its time, presses on to fulfillment, and it will not disappoint. And if it delays, we wait for it. Thank you all very, very much.